Hello students. So today in this lecture we are going to discuss a very important concept, a concept which forms the basis of object-oriented programming. So yes, we are finally ready to discuss the concept of classes and objects. So when I created the very first lecture, Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming, then I discussed the various concepts related to classes and objects. What is a class, what is an object, and what are the characteristics of object-oriented programming. So all those things were theoretical, but today we are going to implement the classes and objects. So if you want to recap all those concepts, you can listen to that lecture again. But in this lecture we will simply skip to the implementation part. Okay. So as you already know, a class contains two types of members, the data members and the member functions. The data members store the data of a class, and the member functions, they provide a way to access these data members, as these data members are hidden from the outside world. Okay, so only way to access this data is to access these member functions, and these member functions will be able to access this data. Okay, so how to define a class? If you want to define a class, you make use of a keyword class. So class definition starts with the keyword class, and then you mention the name of the class. Okay, so this name of the class should be a valid variable name or a valid identifier, we can say. Okay, and the class definition is delimited by curly braces and it is ended by a semicolon. Okay, so this is similar to the structure. Okay, and inside this class definition we have basically two parts. One part contains the private members and the other part contains the public members. Okay, so these are new concepts, private and public. So just to give you an idea, private member functions are those member functions which are hidden from the outside world. So they are hidden from outside, they cannot be accessed by the outside world. Okay, they can be accessed only by the members which are inside this class. Okay, like this member function, this is a function void mem_fun. So this is a member function, and this is the part of this class. Because this is a part of this class, so it can access these private members. But if there is a function outside this class, out function for example, if it wants to access this data, then this is not allowed. Okay, so in the very first lecture we discussed that we are able to have data hiding. The concept of data hiding is there. Why are we able to achieve data hiding? Through these private and public keywords. Okay, they allow us to hide some data from the outside world. So private data is hidden from outside. So whatever data you want to hide, you can write that data under the private keyword. Okay, so the syntax is keyword private and a colon. So all the data written under this will be considered as private data. So here we have this int data. So this is a data member, its data type is int and its name is data. This is a private data. Okay, so the private data can be data members and can be member functions also. Okay, and here next we have this public keyword. So it means here we are going to write the members of the class which we want to be available to the outside world. Okay, so it is written with keyword public and a colon. So here we mention a member function. So this member function is public member function, means it is accessible from the outside world. Okay. So this is a simple class. Here the class is definition is starting with the keyword class, and then we have the name of the class, and we have set of opening and curly braces and a semicolon. Inside this we have this definition of the class. Okay, so this definition contains two parts, as I already told you, the private members and the public members. So private member, there is only one member, int sum data. Okay, and in the public section we have this member function, void set data. This is a member function which is there to set data. Set data means to give the values to data, to initialize the data. Okay, and the return type is void, the name is set data, and it is having one parameter, int d. Okay, and inside this function definition we are initializing this sum data equal to d. So whatever will be the value of d, it will be assigned to sum data. And you can note here that sum data is private member, but we are able to access it because we are accessing it from inside the class. This set data is also the member of this class, because this is a member of this class, so it can access the private members. Okay, and we have now another function, show data. So its task is to display the data. Its return type is void and it has got no parameters, and what is it doing? It is displaying the value of sum data. Cout data is sum data. Okay, so it is also a member function, so it is able to access the private members of this class. Okay, and this is just the definition of the class. So definition means this is just a template or a blueprint, means when you will create the objects of this class, the objects will look like this. Okay, the objects will contain one data member and two member functions. Okay, so this is just telling the compiler that we are going to have objects of this kind. Okay, and in the main we are creating the objects. So how to create the object? Name of the class and then object names. This is very similar to creating a integer or any other data type, int a comma b. So here the data type of a is int, data type of b is int. Similarly here s1, data type of s1 is small object, data type of s2 is small object. Okay, so just like a and b behave like integers, similarly s1 and s2 behave like this class, small object. Okay, so object is also called instance. We are creating an instance of a class. Okay, and when you create the object, the memory is allocated. Okay, so here memory will be allocated to two objects, s1 and s2. Okay, then using these objects we can access these only the public members. Okay, so here what are we doing? s1 dot set data. So s1 is object name, dot is member access operator, very similar to the member access operator which we used in case of structures. So this is the same member access operator, and then we are calling this member function set data. Okay, so set data is being called, and set data expects one argument to be passed. So therefore we are passing one argument which is an integer 1066. So 1066 will be passed and it will be copied in this local variable d. D will be equal to 1066, and here what are we doing? Sum data is equal to D. So sum data is equal to 1066. So through this member function we are initializing sum data. Okay, and then we are calling S2's set data. Here we were calling S1's set data. So when we create objects, what is happening? We are creating two objects, S1 and S2. So memory will be allocated for both S1 and S2. S1 will have its own copy of sum data, its own copy of set data, and its own copy of show data. Similarly, S2 will also have its own copies of sum data, set data, and show data. Okay, so when we write S1 dot set data, we are calling S1 set data, and we are passing 1066. So sum data will be initialized to 1066. When we write S2 dot set data, then S2's set data will be called, and we are initializing, we are passing the value 1776. So 1776 will be used to initialize sum data. Okay. So both the objects are having their own copies of sum data. Here in case of S1 sum data is equal to 1066 and S2's sum data is equal to 1776. Okay, then we are calling S1's show data. So what value will it show? It will show 1066, its sum data value. And when you write S2 dot show data, then what will be printed? It will print 1776. So it will print its value of its copy of sum data. Okay, so now let us try to implement this program in code blocks. So we were creating the class using the keyword class, and let's name it small object, and here we will write the definition of the class. So first we will have the private section. In the private section we have an integer sum data, and that's all in private section. In the public section we are having two member functions, void set data, and it will receive an integer from the calling function, and that integer will be used to initialize sum data. Sum data is equal to D. Okay, and then we have set data, show data, void show data. It will display the value of the variable sum data. Cout sum data is equal to sum data, then ENDL. Okay, so this is the definition of the class, and inside the main function now we will create two objects. Small object is the name of the class, S1 is the first object, S2 is the second object. So memory will be allocated for S1 and S2. Then S1 dot set data, we will, let us say, initialize, pass the value 1000. So this 1000 will be passed to this set data, and it will be copied in its local variable D. Then D's value will be used to assign to sum data. So sum data of S1 is equal to 1000. Then S2 dot set data 2000. So 2000 will be used to initialize some data of S2. Then S1 dot show data, it will show the S1's data. S2 dot show data, it will show S2's data, and at the end return 0. We are good to go now. Let's save it. So sum data is 1000. This is sum data of S1. Sum data equal to 2000. This is sum data of S2. Okay. And can we access sum data directly from outside the class? Let us try to do it. S1 dot sum data. Remember that sum data is private member function of this class. So can we access it directly from outside the class? Let's try to run it. No, we cannot access. Why? Because sum data is private within this context. So this is an error. We cannot access the private data members from outside the class. We can access only the public data members. Okay. Here do we need to write S1 dot sum data? No, we do not need to write it. When we call sum data, when we call set data, then we call it through the particular object S1 dot set data or S2 dot set data. Okay, so when we call it using S1, it means S1 set data is called, and because S1 set data is called, it will set S1 sum data. When S2's set data is called, it will set S2's sum data. Okay, and this is not the only way to define the functions within a class. We can also define the functions outside the class, but still they will belong to this class. Let us see how. Inside the class, you can just declare the functions which are going to be the members of this class. So set data is going to be a member of this class, so we declare it. How to declare? You mention the return type, you mention the name, and you mention the parameters of that function. Okay, similarly we can delete the definition of show data and just declare it. Okay, so here we have declared two member functions. So these two member functions are going to be the member of this class, and we can define them outside the class. How to define? Just like a normal definition, void set data, then int d, then sum data is equal to d. But this is a normal function definition. How will the compiler know that this function belongs to this class? For that, we will write after the return type and before the name of the function, we will write the name of the class to which this function belongs. So this function belongs to small object, and then there is a special operator. This is called scope resolution operator, represented by 2 colons. Okay, so it means what? It means small object class set data. Set data belongs to class small object. Okay, similarly we can define the other function here. The other function is show data. So void show data. Show data belongs to small object. So we will write small object scope resolution show data. Okay, and then here we will write cout show data is equal to show data. Okay, so this is another way in which you can define the functions of a class. It is giving us an error, no match for operator. Hash include iostream void small object colon show data. Sorry, it must be some data. Okay, so we are able to display the values of S1 sum data and S2 sum data. Okay, now we will move back to the presentation. Okay, so the keywords private and public we have discussed. They enable us to implement the concept of object oriented programming, which is called data hiding. Okay, so with the help of data hiding we are able to hide some of the data members or member functions so that they cannot be accessed from outside the class. Okay, so actually whatever data or member functions which we want to make, which we want to hide, they are written under the section private. Okay, so this is the mechanism of data hiding. The private data or functions are not accessible from outside the class, and the public data or functions are accessible from outside the class. Defining objects, we have defined two objects S1 and S2 in the previous example. Definition of the class does not create any object. Definition of the class is just a blueprint. Okay, it only describes how will the objects look and behave when they are created. Okay, and when we are creating an object, we are actually creating a variable of type class. Okay, so when we are defining an object, only then memory is allocated. And objects are sometimes also called instance variables. And calling member functions, for calling the member functions we use the member access operator, that is the dot operator. So we always call the member functions by mentioning the object to which they belong, like S1 dot set data, S2 dot set data. So because set data is a member function of small object class, it must always be called in connection with the object of this class. Okay, so it does not make sense to directly call set data 1066 because set data by itself is member function is always called through an object, not on the class in general. Okay, so this set data, it does not belong to the whole class. Okay, set data does not belong to class. Set data belongs to a particular object. So whether we are calling S1 set data or set data of S2, this we have to mention. Okay, we cannot just write set data. We have to tell to which set data we are referring to. Okay, and if we just write set data like this, we do not mention the object name, then it is just like trying to drive the blueprint of a car. Okay, so we are not actually driving the actual car. Actual car has not been created. We have just the blueprint of the car. Actual car is created when we create the object of the class. Okay, so member access operator, we have told you that this is the dot operator, and when we are calling the member functions we use the parenthesis like s1 dot show data. The parenthesis tells us that we are calling the member function. Okay, so this we have already seen that this is just a blueprint of the class, and when we create the object the memory is allocated, and through the member functions we are setting the value 1066.17766. Okay, this is some data of S1 and this is some data of S2. And now we would like to compare the class with the structure. So using the class keyword is identical to struct keyword in absolutely every way. Okay, you can, instead of writing the class small object and then defining the class, you can write the keyword struct also. Okay, but there is only one difference. Class members are by default public. If you just write the name of the class member, then by default it will be considered private, but in the structure the default this is called the access control or access specifier. The default access specifier in case of structure is public. So if you are using a structure, this will be considered public if you do not mention any specific access specifier, but if you are using class, the default access specifier is private. Okay, then a question arises, then if class and structure are absolutely same, then why we have both classes and structures in C++? The answer is that structures have been made available in C++ to provide backward compatibility with C. Okay, so whatever is there in whatever features are there in C are also available in C++. So structure is available in C. So in order to maintain the backward compatibility with C, C++ also has structures. But the concepts of object-oriented programming, they started with the concept of classes. So all the new concepts which are there in object-oriented programming, they begin with the concept of classes. Okay, and here are the references for this chapter.